Hello, how you doing? Before we start, just going to give a special shout out to a good friend of mine who their name is Katrina. They're in a tough spot at the minute. I don't want to go into any further details. They're in a tough spot. Just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you, sending you a massive hug, and you know how to get hold of me if you need my support. I'm sure you've got other people around you as well, but sending you a big hug, Kat. All right. So let's get going. I'm going to bring in my regular co-host, the only co-host that I've got here at the moment, because the other people are running late. Very un-British. Stupenzolicious in the house.
I mean, if you're in America like I am, technically you're an hour late. You're running like at 5 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock my time.
Our clocks have gone back, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone else on the show forgot about that, or I don't know. We'll see.
Well, the other people are English, so I don't think so. I mean, blue collar, I'll give him a pass. But
never mind. I rescind my understanding and devil's advocate. Yeah. It's been good. Good weekend.
Well, I had an interesting weekend, to say the least. We're going to talk about a couple of different things tonight, but this particular stream, this part of the channel is all about film and television, recommending stuff that we have seen that we like. But we do also give a shout out to favorite actors of ours or people in the industry who've passed away. And sadly today, we lost the wonderful Terry Garr. Some of you will remember her as Richard Dreyfuss's somewhat stressed wife in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is the first thing I ever saw her in. She had a great supporting role with Dustin Hoffman in the film Tootsie, which we are going to, in fact, talk about tonight, and various other things.
She had the Great Knockers in Young Frankenstein.
Was that her role? Is that the name of the character?
Right. I always knew her as the titular mom in Mom and Dad Save the World with Jeffrey Jones and John Lovitz and Kathy Ireland. That was a weird one.
Just going to say hello to a few people in the chat. We've got Daryl Johnson in the chat. Atom Gray is here. Wormy Spoons is in the house. That's good to see. Time zones, how do they work? Well, they work well. Good to see Axel's back again. Nice to see you, man. And John H. Stevenson's here. I'm sure you meant Muscar there. Yeah. Thank you, mate. I just corrected that. So, well, let's talk about Terry Garr for a little bit. Just go through some of the spots of her career, because she had a pretty substantial career, 159 acting credits. She'd done a huge amount of work on stage as well. Unfortunately, I never got to see her in a play. Really wish I had. Last credit on IMDb, How to Marry a Billionaire. Well, you could speak to my ex-wife about that. But I saw her, like I said, first in Close Encounters. She was great in Close Encounters. Kind of had a bit of a crush on her when she was in that.
She played the wife to Richard Dreyfuss.
Dreyfuss came out in 1977.
Yeah, you gotta feel sorry for her, in hindsight.
Yeah, because she's like
understandably insanely upset about everything.
And she's trying to like rekindle their romance at one point when he takes her up to sort of the next night to see the spaceships, which of course don't turn up. And she says, "Don't you remember when we used to just come to places like this to look at each other.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to kind of rekindle their their friendship, I suppose, their romance or whatever. And he's just like so obsessed with the whole UFO thing that that's the only thing he's seeing.
Well, that's the thing is, I got Steven Spielberg said many times, like he didn't have kids when he made that movie. And now that he has like grandkids, he said like the ending of that movie drives him insane. How like Richard Dreyfuss just goes on the spaceship and goes away and leaves his wife and kids behind. It's like, yeah, he's like in hindsight, he's like, yeah, no father would do that, or no good father would do that.
Well, he can come back and he can CGI walkie-talkies onto everything, and he can correct the story that way.
He could come back in 20 years and bail his kids out of jail. Who knows?
What's funny is he's only been gone like for like 5 weeks, like 5 days his time, and he comes back and it's been like 40 years on Earth. Whoops.
Everybody he knows is dead.
I thought I was only gone for a short while. Sorry, kids.
And because of a lack of a father figure, his kids end up as jailbirds and criminals and
that'd be good.
Killers.
Has anyone on the panel? The Inside Man is here. Better late than never.
Groovy. Yeah, good. Yeah, not bad.
We're talking about the late Terry Garr, who passed away today.
Right. Okay.
And one of my film picks is going to be in honor of her, so we're going to talk about Tootsie in a sec. But yeah, so I was just going to ask the panel who saw her in Tootsie.
Seen it, yeah. She's very funny.
Yeah.
She's like this hysterical actress who just can't get a gig.
Yeah, she plays Dustin Hoffman's flatmate, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, who he sleeps with, even though he's in love with Jessica Lange.
Right. Well, they sort of have a casual thing, don't they? If I remember rightly.
Yeah. It's like something that just happens, then he later ends up falling for Jessica Lange, and he has to say he's gay later on.
Gary Bolter's pointed out that she was in an episode of the original Star Trek. Is she in the episode with the hippies that come on board with the weird guitar, and you've got Jerry what's his name from the Smokey and the Bandit films playing one of them with a big. I think she's in that episode.
Yeah, Charles Napier.
Charles Napier. That's right. He's in that episode, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really young. It's weird not seeing him as a very serious sort of country guy kind of guy. That
episode is a terrible episode of Star Trek, though. It's not up there with the good ones. Let me get Tootsie up here and we'll talk about that a little bit. Big hit when it came out. Everybody was talking about it in the UK, and I kind of looked at it and I thought, it's a comedy about a dude dressing up as a woman. I don't really fancy watching that. I didn't see it until it was released on video, I think around 1985, something like that. Great film.
It was a good film, yeah.
Directed by Sidney Pollack, no less. Also starring Jessica Lange, Dabney Coleman, Charles Durning, Bill Murray, Sidney Pollack's in it, George Gaines from the Police Academy films, who's got a great storyline because he falls in love with Dorothy, who's the character that Dustin Hoffman kind of becomes through his transformation, so to speak.
And he does get to showcase his skills as an opera singer, which I did not know until later on.
Who are you talking about there? George Gaines?
George Gaines, the guy who played Commandant Lassard in Police Academy.
Right. Yeah, there's Sidney Pollack on the right, Terry Garr in the middle, Dustin Hoffman on the left. Got quite a few Dustin Hoffman stories, but I won't tell them now.
Because the thing about this film is that over the last 4 years, the Usual Brigade have been trying to cancel it and and stop it from being streamed. And any production of physical media for it. So
that's outrageous.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I guess that's to do with either trans rights or it's insulting to trans people or something. But there are people who dress up as cabaret acts, which are still very popular. And not everybody likes a particular label for them. It's no good trying to put everything in a box, Some things just don't fit.
Well, the thing is, though, it's actually being a champion towards the women in the actual in the production who's being lectured over by this bloody director.
Yeah, this is a very, very pro female.
Yes,
work,
it is. Yeah.
You know, equal rights in the workplace kind of movie. It's very much so.
They're just idiots looking to be offended. They build some crap up in their head, and then they start venting it on the whole world. It's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like, even if even if it is offensive to trans people, I mean, let's be real. What are they, like 1% of the population? 2%? Like, I mean, it's like it's like you're afraid you're going to offend the Amish. It's like, sorry. I mean, I don't know.
But the Amish haven't got access to computers because they don't use them very much, do they?
No, but the Mennonites do. And the Mennonites keep them all up to date with their pop culture and news.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the minutiae of this sort of thing.
The Mennonites.
That was why the Amish girl got excommunicated, wasn't it? 2 Mennonite.
I forgot to say that young Gina Davis is also in this. Incredible when
she was very tasty here.
Yeah. Young Bill Murray as well.
That is one nutty hospital.
Yeah. Oh, hello. That's our girl from Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I really like this film. Great movie. If you want to see Terry Garr at her best, you can't go wrong with this movie. But I mean, she's done loads of other stuff. It's a shame, I think, because we lost Melinda Dillon, I think last year, who was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So
she wasn't the mum as well in
she was the mum of the kid that gets kidnapped.
Man.
But,
I just realized how you could remake Tootsie for modern audiences. I think.
My God! Don't do it. Don't try and remake it.
So basically, instead of him pretending to be a woman, he's just a trans man, and nobody questions anything. And there's no like big reveal that he's actually a man because everyone knows that, and they're fine with it. And then at the end, he realizes he actually is trans, and that's his coming out of the closet reveal. And then the movie's over.
That sounds like a really shit film.
I know.
If Disney are watching, I think they're on it.
That's how they do it, for sure. I never realized I was living a lie until I started pretending to be Tootsie.
Yeah.
That's what they could call the movie, pretending to be Tootsie. That would be
Now Tootsie's an offensive name.
Interesting that she acted alongside Jonathan Banks, who's has always been a jobbing actor. He's always been around, but his career really kind of peaked as a result of Breaking Bad and, of course, Better Call Saul, where, for an actor at his age to now have be so recognizable so late is quite rare. Frankenstein, of course, with Mel Brooks. And Stupenzolicious already mentioned that. One from the Heart is somebody recommended that on the Nielsen ratings sometime. I can't remember who brought it up, but somebody did. That's a nuts film that not a lot of people have seen from Francis Ford Coppola, but I kind of like it. Don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
No.
Got savaged on its release. Financial bomb.
Oh, you know what we watched the other day? Gail Ann Hurd produced it. Talked about it on your show. Dick. Kirsten.
That's great.
Yeah.
Michelle Williams. She's Michelle Williams' mom, or is she Kirsten Dunst's mom? She's one of their moms. I think Michelle Williams. She's the one who lives in Watergate.
Right.
Yeah, that's such a funny movie, man. Watched it randomly like the other day.
It's so good.
Still holds up.
Cannoli Sasquatch is in the house. Fellow YouTuber. Let me know if you want to pop on, mate. I'll send you a
fellow Paisan, fellow Italiano.
My good friend Katrina is in the chat. So welcome to the stream. This is our weekly stream where we talk about film and TV shows that we've seen, mostly new stuff, but some old stuff that we like to recommend to people. So if you're tuning in for the first time, that's the kind of thing you can expect. Plus probably at least 20 minutes of us talking absolute bollocks.
A couple other movies she's in that I brief small roles, but she's in Michael with John Travolta. My aunt was like indirectly involved in influencing that movie. My Aunt Gina had a dog named Sparky, this little dog, and she knew like the writer or the producer of the film. And the dog and Michael was originally supposed to be like some kind of bigger dog with a different name. And then they met my aunt's dog, Sparky. And that's why that dog is little and called Sparky. The other thing, she's also in briefly Dumb and Dumber. She's the lady that Helen Swanson. So Lauren Holly's like mother or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. Good stuff. She's in what else?
Yeah, I mean, I think she must have been quite well liked in the industry. I mean, certainly I've never heard a bad word said against her because she never stopped working.
Hey, this is on brand. She's in an episode of Tales from the Crypt. She's in the one where the two brothers are like one of them's a mortician and the other one's like in debt, a loser, and he's gonna fake his death. And he gets his like brother, who's like a cop or a forensics guy or something, to get him to fake his own death so he can escape his debt. And him and his wife can run away to a different island. But what they do is they just kill him and make it's real. And then his brother runs away with his wife. So it's pretty good.
Katrina Young says, oi, thanks for the link. Gotta love talking bollocks. I can tell, Kat, you and I are going to be best of friends already. So, yeah, well, Terry Garr passed away, 79. Love this picture, incidentally. This is such a great picture. Look even better if we could Photoshop Inside Man's face on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Gray said Mr. Mom. That's obviously.
Not a favorite film of mine. I have to
I think she's on Dumb and Dumber as well.
Yeah. So that she's what was it? Lauren Holly's mom.
Mary's mom. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got quite a few recommendations for you guys this week. I've got a show that I've started that I'm not sure about, which most of you probably won't have seen. And I'm sure my panelists have also got stuff to recommend. If you have a view on anything that we're talking about, please put a comment in the chat. And if you want to chip in, when we do our ratings, if you want to chip in what you would give it out of 10 if you've seen it. So incidentally, I would give Tootsie an 8.5 out of 10 because we just talked about that. Very good film. If you haven't seen it, great comedy. Track it down before all copies have been eliminated. Definitely a film to cheer you up if you're feeling down. I don't know where people can stream that at the minute, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably on YouTube to rent or you can sail the high seas. Okay, so I saw a really interesting documentary the other night. I came in from a rave, Kel Surprise, and had a really good time. Big shout out to Adea for putting on a fantastic trance event. Thank you very much. On Saturday, fantastic sort of Halloween themed event, a lot of fun. When I came in, I was feeling a bit down, and I thought, well, let me see what's on Netflix. And I saw this poster for this documentary called The Remarkable Life of Evelyn, which is the thumbnail that we have today. I thought, I've never heard of this guy before. What's this about? So I put it on, and I kind of expected to sort of probably nod off, because it was subtitled predominantly because it's mainly set in Scandinavia. But within kind of sort of 20 minutes, I was like, oh, this is actually quite interesting. I'm going to keep watching. It's the true story of a remarkable young man who's sadly no longer with us, who had a severe muscle wasting disease, and gradually he was losing more and more of his mobility. But he had a specially designed wheelchair with a specially designed gamer pad so that he could, with his limited movement, play World of Warcraft, of course, which was a massive craze. I'm sure some people are probably still playing it now, but it was certainly a massive craze in the sort of mid 2000s. Is that about right? So this kid created a character in World of Warcraft. For anyone who doesn't know what World of Warcraft is, it's like a 3D animated online fantasy game with a world that you can explore. You can make friends with other people who are playing characters all over the world. And of course, in that world, you can be what you want to be. So for this particular young man, it was his escape. So his character was called Eblin. And he was kind of like this sort of handsome Viking type with a big blonde ponytail. And this is what the kid actually looked like. The real guy. And here he is. This is a photo of him not that long before he passed away. And this is his character in World of Warcraft. And what the filmmakers did was they were actually able to extrapolate all of the code from the game. So they recreated on the documentary the various conversations that he had in the game with other characters. And this kid sort of ended up becoming like a bit of a counselor for different people all over the world who are going through their various issues, but never revealed much about himself. And so he became very popular. He formed a lot of actual real friendships within the game. And within the game, there was there are various clans and societies that form within that world, groups of friends that sort of band together. And he joined one particular clan, and it had members from all over Europe. And but he was the only one who didn't reveal much information about himself from the outside world. And as his disease got more advanced and his mobility became more limited, he started getting angry, and he would start lashing out to people within the games. One of the guys who was the head of one of the groups that he belonged to also lived in Oslo, because this kid lived in Oslo, and he offered to come and see him, and he shut that down. And they did a meetup. They did a meetup in real life. And a load of the gamers all met in real life. And of course, Eblin wasn't there, but they kind of had him on a computer off camera, and he would talk to people. This film is available, Katrina, on Netflix. You can watch it tonight if you want. It's a really powerful story, because there's this one girl who really liked him. And they weren't actually of too dissimilar an age. And of course, Eblin's big frustration in life was that he was never going to fall in love. He was never going to have a girlfriend. All these things that the rest of us take for granted were all going to be unfulfilled. But while he was in this world, there was the potential for all those things. And he had girlfriends in this world, and it was the only way he could experience those kinds of affections. It's a really gut-wrenching but powerful documentary that everyone should see. I mean, for me, I never played World of Warcraft. I didn't want to get sucked into a vortex of a game that I'd spend hours on the computer. I did that with Fallout Las Vegas after my mother died, and that did serve a purpose for me. But I've got so much work to do writing wise. I can't really afford to do these things. But I think for anyone who says nothing ever good comes out of playing those kinds of things, this is actually a real litmus test for that, where the reverse was absolutely true. And it's just a really good movie. Has anybody else on the panel seen it?
Yeah, I saw it.
No.
So it depends. So yeah, give me.
Well, it's funny because my friend Boble was in a private chat, movie chat I'm in, sharing this documentary last night. And then today I was like, hey, what do you want on the thumbnail? Smile 2, Terry Garr. And you were like, no, I want this documentary.
You didn't suggest Terry Garr. You just said Smile 2. And I said, no, I want this documentary. You should have. I would have said put Terry Garr on as well. But
dang. But anyway, you're like, put this weird thing documentary on there. And I was like, okay. And you got time to watch it. I thought I had like 24 minutes till the show. And then I forgot about daylight savings. And I was like, oh, I got like an hour and a half. I can watch this. So yeah, I watched it just a minute before the show. And it was good. I love I didn't know anything going in. So like you said, it's like, slowly debilitating. It's pretty rough. It's kind of like Up, You know, the first 20 minutes are pretty
Yeah.
rough. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, good God, this is depressing. And
Yeah.
then, the kid dies, and you realize like they got his password. They write a big message to his message board, his blog or whatever. Like, yo, this is his friend, this is his family. He's passed away last night. And then they start getting like all these emails, and they didn't realize like he had all these friends. And you're like, oh, that's nice. And then you realize like, oh, he had played, World of Warcraft. But then at like the 20 minute mark is where they reveal like, one of the guys who ran the server had like backlogs of all the chats from like years and years. So it's like 42,000 pages. So they could like literally recreate his scenes in Warcraft with that script, because like how they did the South Park episode, Yeah. And that's when I realized like, oh, this is going to be wild. Okay. Like they're basically like showcasing, like he literally lived in this other world, it's weird.
It was pretty amazing, really. And also when you think about what the technology is like now with AI and all the rest of it, pretty soon there'll be online games like that where your life in that world will be potentially more interesting for a lot of people than the one you have, which is a bit like Ready Player One, isn't it?
What do you mean will be? Already is.
Well, indeed. Well, it depends on the life you have. Can't go to a real rave. That's what I'm saying. So Katrina, can you elaborate on this question? Has anyone here played in a film or documentary? Do you mean, has anyone here acted? Both myself and the Inside Man work in the film industry, so but just clarify the question, please.
Used to do a bit in college, but it's been a long time though.
Zombie has done 900 days played in the game. Yeah, Evelyn did 55,000 hours. I think it was, they quoted 55,000 hours on World of Warcraft. Man, that's like, that's more than I played Defender back in the 1980s. But yeah, so okay, if that was the question, yes, I've acted in several films and plays, although my main job is I'm a writer director. Inside Man works behind the scenes, both on set and in post-production.
And have done a little bit sort of in front of the camera as well. So yeah.
If you watch our we did a Band of Brothers tribute stream where we did it episode by episode. It's on the channel under Chew the Fat playlist, and the Inside Man was pretty much on all the episodes of Band of Brothers, and we kind of worked through that. So he had a lot of entertaining Tom Hanks and Spielberg stories and that sort of thing. It's good. I mean, I as documentaries go, I've got to give it a 9 out of 10. It really hit me in the gut. I was in tears towards the end, and nice tears. And I think the thing that was really moving was the guys who met up in person. A whole load of them actually came over for his service, and they did a speech at his funeral. And I thought that, and it was quite a moving speech. And of course, it was quite nice for the parents to find out that all this stuff about that he had all these friends, that he'd done all these things, that he'd cheered people up when they were feeling down, and kind of counseled people and stuff. And they none of them ever knew about his condition until I think towards the end, where he finally confided in one girl, and she said, well, you should tell everybody, that's because people wondered what was going on with you. And that's
they were ragging on him because he wasn't able to like do a lot of the actual like game stuff. He mostly just walked around and conversed with people, and it's like, yo, we need help fighting this thing, and he'd be like, I can't. He wouldn't tell them though. They would just think like, what's wrong with you?
He couldn't he couldn't like do the fast button sort of attack stuff as his.
So, he had to, they wanted, like, he should have, explained himself a little bit, like, hey, sorry, I can only move my fingers. So I think people would understand,
Just out of curiosity, how old was the lad when he passed away?
I think he was
teenager.
No, I think he was 24.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't look that old, but and he played the game for about 6 years, didn't he? So I think it was like maybe 17 when he started.
And what was the illness?
Oh, I forget the exact name.
It started with a D that I'd never heard of.
It's an extreme muscle wasting disease. So, it gradually destroys your muscles and you lose all your mobility.
Let's see here. He had Oh God, why is everything so difficult to navigate on the internet?
Damn you!
Very
inconsiderate.
Yeah, they just say long-term disability.
And I'm just getting a link for. Katrina asked for a link of anything we've been involved with. I'll drop you the link for the Journey feature film, which is actually on this channel. Thank you, Tomby. He was 25 when he passed. Yeah, and he's still, because of the condition that he had, you know, in his most recent picture, which is the one at the top, that's what he looked like when he passed away. He still looked like a 16-year-old.
So he had Duchenne, Duchenne, D-U-C-H-E-N-N-E, muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
Severe inherited disease that causes progressive muscle weakness and muscle wasting. Yeah. One of the most severe forms of inherited muscular dystrophy. Wow.
That's terrible. So was it kind of like Lou Gehrig's disease?
Pretty similar, I think. I mean, I have a friend, Carly, who's actually got a small part in the Journey. She's in a little flashback scene. Carly Houston, actress, has got very limited mobility. When I first met her, which was at a stand-up comedy gig that me and my then wife went to watch, and she was actually sitting next to me, and you know, in the interval, you get talking to the people next to you, and she told me, you know, oh, I'm an actress, blah blah blah, and I said, oh well, you know, find me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook work profile, and she could walk when we met her. That was probably we must have been just about to shoot the film, so I guess that would have been about 2012. And she came around for a couple of movie quizzes and things, but she's got MS, which is a similar thing. Within 4 years, I suppose, of knowing her, she was completely wheelchair confined, and I must have spent hours online trying to find, you know, if I won the lottery, what's the latest medicine I could fly her out to get, you know. She's such a nice person. I mean, she's an amazing person, so kind, and it, you know, breaks my heart what she's going through. She's such a fighter as well. She's got engaged, she's getting married next year in Jamaica of all places, so she's, you know, she doesn't let her condition stop her from doing anything. Fantastic. She's been on the channel before, actually. She's done some live streams and things with us. I think she's popped on a couple of times in the very early days. I need to get her on again. Yeah. So anyone else want to say anything?
No, I might check it out though. I don't always get a chance to watch documentaries, but this sounds actually very, very moving.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 40 minutes. It's a 9 out of 10 from me. Stupenzolicious, what would you give it?
Give it a solid 7. It was good, but you know, I mean, documentaries, man, they're kind of cheap, you know, in the way they get you, manipulate you emotionally, and they're cheap and effective, and Netflix loves churning them out because you don't need to pay script writers or actors and so. But it was cool that this one had, like, you know, animators involved, which is good, even though they were just, you know, programming the Warcraft code. Still, is that Warcraft?
Well, it's good film for me. Right now, I'm going to move on. Very interested to know what my American guests, I guess that's just you, Stupenzolicious, think of this film. So the other week I said we were going to talk about this and I forgot. This is a dramedy, so it's based on the early days of Donald Trump's rise to power, when he was close friends with oh my god, the name of the guy who let me just get the character name, Roy Cohn. So for anyone who doesn't know who Roy Cohn was, he was an extremely powerful lawyer in New York. He sent a woman suspected of being a communist spy to the electric chair, even though there's not great evidence that she specifically did much. And he was also involved in the communist witch hunts. He was notorious for persecuting homosexuals, even though he was one. And he kind of groomed when Donald Trump was young. He sort of groomed his rise to power. He was a advisor for him. He was his lawyer for some of the time, and it's one of Jeremy Strong, who plays him, it's one of his finest performances. Most people will recognize him from the show about all the rich people fighting with each other. God, the name of it's gone out of my head. It's an amazing show. The actor who plays Sebastian Stan, who plays Donald, I'm not overly familiar with him, but he was very good. Had him down.
Bucky, the Winter Soldier. He also played Tommy Lee.
Oh my God! Yeah, of course
he's
he
in
did.
Raw. This guy is
He's a chameleon, isn't he? He's a chameleon.
Transformative actor, dude. I did not watch this movie. I skimmed it. I don't really buy into the, movie about Donald Trump coming out a few months before the election. Oh, I'm sure
I wanted to ask you what you thought about. Yeah, I wanted to ask you what you thought about that, because are we also going to get a drama?
It's a load of crap. Everything that every reason. Oh, I got so many friends that hate Donald Trump, and you hate him because the media tells you to hate him. Every day, all day. So I mean, maybe this movie is based on a true story. Maybe it doesn't even paint him in that unfavorable of a light. Point is, I don't really care about watching this until like after he wins this election. Damn it!
I have to say, I mean, apart from his sort of callous approach towards his female relationships.
Well, like I did skim this, and I gotta say, like I was thinking, like, holy shit, dude, that's Sebastian Stan, really? Because like at the beginning, you're like, okay, it kind of looks like Sebastian Stan or Shaw, whatever his name is, and at the end, I kind of skimmed towards the end just to kind of get him, doing the scenes and just the way he stands, like his posture, his
really nails him.
It's really good. It's not as good of an impression as like Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis really nails the old Donald Trump voice, but he's kind of,
I love Trump, so
he's channeling he's channeling the younger Trump, the Home Alone Trump, the Home Alone 2 Trump that you saw. But yeah, dude, I remember thinking like there's a few parts in the end where it's like, dude, hey, this guy's a good actor. I'm sorry, like he's really good, or at least he's really good at doing impressions anyway. And I'm really excited to see that movie where he's got that face disorder, and they got the guy from Under the Skin in it. Yeah. Right. But anyway, it's one of those things where I remember seeing an article about Sebastian Stan was like had PTSD from playing Trump for too long, and I'm like, oh boo, oh my god,
what a pile of shit.
I mean, it's one of those things where either A, he's being serious, in which case, oh my God, grow the hell up. Like you're telling me, or it's just, more posturing to keep work. You gotta vocally every once in a while just be like, yeah, Trump sucks. And that's how you just keep getting jobs in Hollywood. It's crazy.
He's definitely,
as you know, we don't do politics here, so let's not go down that road too much. But sorry, Northern, what are you going to say?
Yeah, but he has actually been going on Twitter doing some more bloody Orange Man bad stuff, or at least acting like the kind of celebrity that does the Orange Man bad. I mean, slamming fans as well.
I mean, yeah, but you played
even though we don't do politics on this channel, no politics, no religion, I am interested in doing a stream when the American election is happening.
Assuming the internet's still functioning.
Yeah. When
election? There will be no election.
November 5th. November 5th is the day.
So when will the count be in? When do you guys?
It's supposed to be one day. It's supposed to be. I'm not going to be surprised if they extend it for days or weeks. That's what they're trying to gear us up for. I also wouldn't be surprised if like Trump wins, and then we're going to start hearing nonsense about there was interference, and now we got to go to court, and it's going to be the whole point is to just drive everyone crazy. The whole point is to just send us into chaos. I'm guessing. Everyone kind of knows something's going to go down. Everyone knows like they're just not going to hand him the keys again. So
they're trying to cash in on it though, aren't they? They're trying to cash in on the Orange Man bad here. Bab. It's cringe. It is.
I don't know. I'm just excited. It's the most exciting time to be alive. Whatever. It's one of those things where once in a lifetime type situations going on right now, and we'll see how it goes out. But I know everyone's going to be all right. I know, God is looking out for us all. Win or lose, we're all going to be okay. So don't light anything on fire or anything stupid. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, don't just stay calm, enjoy the show, get your popcorn. It's going to be quite an entertaining few months from November to January. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I dare say.
Just buckle up, get your stock up on your food and your water, your dry canned goods, and just hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So that's all I can say.
This is like that scene in RoboCop where they're doing the news report on the police going on strike, and they interview that strange guy, and he's going, yeah, it's going to be a crazy place out there.
Man. Yeah. I love that guy. He should have his own movie.
Well, I thought this film was very good. I actually think Trump comes off better than he should in it, and also Jeremy Strong is absolutely amazing. Maria Bakalova is amazing, as well as Ivana Trump. Really good. I would say nails her completely. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Worth watching for the performances alone. And I don't think it's particularly pro or against Trump. I think it's just a fairly honest depiction of his early career. But the relationship between him and Roy Cohn was not something I was particularly familiar with. So I found that fascinating to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the premise was interesting. We got a movie about Donald Trump called The Apprentice. You think, it's going to be about his dumb show again? It's like, no, it's about him being an apprentice in his early days. I'm like, okay, I dig it. I dig what they're putting down, but still, I'm in no rush to watch it yet, just right now.
Right. Okay, next up, another documentary. This is currently on Netflix. This is The Zodiac speaking. It's good. I watched it a few nights ago. I think it's in 3 parts, three 1 hours. Basically, this is told from the point of view mainly of the relatives of Arthur Lee Allen, who is the #1 suspect for the Zodiac killer. And this is the first time some of them have been interviewed on camera. And it's really, really, really interesting. I've seen documentaries on the Zodiac before, but I've never seen one with these particular family members being interviewed. And I am 99.9% convinced this is the guy, because one of them talks about a time when he confessed to them. They're very convincing. They're not like some of these people that you see in documentaries who are clearly sort of fame hungry. In fact, you can see that they're pretty exhausted by the whole thing. This is the only time they've agreed to do a doc. They've been asked hundreds of times to do other programs. And
was that until the right price was offered?
Well, look, I don't know. They weren't even talking. It divided their family for a long time. And I think that I don't think it was that the right price was offered, because I'm sure they would have been offered substantial monies in the past. I think the reason that they did it is they'd all started talking again, the 3 siblings. And I think they decided, okay, if we all agree to do it, this will be a good way of putting it behind us for good. And they can say their piece. I think that's fair enough. But it is good. It's well done. Really liked it.
I mean, the cynic in me always kind of, takes anecdotal stories literally as that, just completely at face value. I remember one time he confessed to me that X, Y, and Z. Those kind of things. We got no way of substantiating any kind of testimony that is so many decades old, and anyone genuinely can say anything. I'm not saying it's not a good documentary, and I'm not saying that what they're saying isn't the truth. But I think if we're looking at something objectively, we have to be very careful of what we actually are starting to believe in.
But there's a lot of physical proof as well. There was a whole load of letters, and there's other stuff. Which, but I mean, this guy's always been the #1 suspect, and this is but the final piece of the jigsaw in place for me. So I think it's
I mean, the thing about it is that I mean, the unfortunate thing is that that the overwhelming majority of the evidence is completely circumstantial, and that's a great shame.
I don't think he would be convicted in a court of law.
No, and that's a terrible shame, because it almost certainly, I mean, as you say, 99.99999% certain that this guy was the Zodiac killer. But it's really just on circumstantial evidence. There's no, there's nothing nothing genuinely in terms of hard evidence that would link him to those, apart from an enormous amount of coincidental circumstantial evidence. Now, I mean, coincidence is, coincidence, but coincidences and circumstantial evidence, isn't as frequent as this, as the kind of evidence that we're talking about here. This is more than just a coincidence. This is more than just circumstantial. If you're looking at things from a logical standpoint, but I'm always, like I say, I always mistrust testimony, and anything that's anecdotal several decades after.
Well, watch it yourself. See what you think.
Yeah, I'm interested because this is really, this is really really up my street, this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. There is one of the other interesting things is various trips that the kids went on at different times with this guy, and there's one in particular. But incidentally, the siblings are all interviewed separately. They're not like all sitting there in a studio together or anything. It's nothing like that. That this particular trip, where he literally left them in the car for about an hour, and this was on a road that was right near the scene of one of the murders. So that was a sort of quite an interesting fact that came out. So there we go. I've got a couple of others that I'll talk about quickly because I assume no one else has seen the Zodiac. This is the Zodiac.
No. What's that streaming on, by the way?
It's on Netflix.
On Netflix, right? Okay.
It's also on Netflix.
Yeah. One thing I found out about is in Longlegs, the killer kind of messes up his grammar, which was apparently inspired by the Zodiac killer. He was left these messages, but I think because his grammar was so bad, people couldn't always crack him. I might be wrong there, though.
I've just watched the French. I guess I'd call this a sort of sci-fi fantasy comedy in the realm of Jumanji, the Jumanji films. It's called Family Pack or Loups Gros, to use the French title. Stars Jean Reno, Suzanne Clement, and various other people.
I do like Jean Reno. He's cool.
I love him.
It's also on Netflix. You can watch it dubbed or with subtitles. I always watch with subtitles. And the premise of the movie is this: a family have gathered for a sort of annual reunion thing, and part of the tradition is that they always play this old board game that they've got up in the loft, which of course has a suspiciously very ornate and worldly looking cover on it. On this particular occasion, they don't finish playing the game. There's an earthquake, and the family have to go and walk to the nearest town for whatever reason. I think phone lines and things are down to sort of find out what's happening. When they get to the village, it's all changed, and there's a local medieval fair kind of in town, and they think, this has gone very high budget, isn't it? Look at the village; it looks really good. Well, what's actually happened is that the earthquake has opened a crack in time. They've gone back in time.
Oh, wow.
To a village in medieval times. And the village is being terrorized by a family of werewolves. So Family Pack is... so this is a werewolf movie as well. So you can add another genre there. It's pretty good, actually. I really enjoyed it. It's quite fun. There's a lot of entertaining scenes where, they think they're watching a kind of medieval reenactment, and suddenly somebody gets their head lopped off during an execution, and one of them gets blood all over them. That looks a bit real to me. That's when the penny drops, and they realize that something's not quite right. But yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's a bit silly, but it's fun. The werewolves are well done. Good mixture of practical as well as CGI. Mostly practical effects, from what I could tell. I enjoyed it. I crammed it in just before we came on, and it's pretty simple. Kind of what they realize is that they're actually still playing the game, but the game has become real because they didn't finish playing it. So it's almost like they're being punished, and each of them are actually one of the characters in the game. So they've each got a unique power.
Who is the Loup Garou? Loup Garou is French for werewolf. I know that.
There you go. So it's good. I liked it. A lot of fun, and there's a few twists in it, which I won't say any spoilers. I'm guessing I'm probably the only person who's seen it.
I almost watched it. I love Jean Reno, and I did see the werewolves, just to see what it was like. It looked fun, but Jean Reno, man, he needs to be in more stuff, especially now that he's all old. He's great.
It's not got a great reputation in terms of being a nice guy on set, so that's maybe why he's not in more stuff.
Well, he let the professional go to his head, I guess.
I mean, I've heard that. Inside Man, you heard anything? Let's move on. Okay,
no.
I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good movie, kind of forgettable, but kind of fun. So if you fancy a sort of, it's good. It's a good one for the whole family as well, even though it's a little bit scary in places. Kids over the age of 8, 9 could watch this film.
So it's the perfect family film then.
Yeah. So
a good gateway to horror, for your kids. If it's not too scary but scary enough, and they don't.
Well, yeah, it's like
freak out.
It's like what Don Bluth used to say. Kids can pretty much handle anything as long as you give them a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. Yeah. That's a good quote from. It does have a happy ending, so it has a funny ending actually. It's kind of involves the Louvre in Paris, which I'll leave there.
Did you ever see that Jean Reno movie called For Rosanna?
Yeah,
that's a good one, man.
It is a good one. Stupenzo, with that, it's your first pick. What you got?
Well, it's a movie I'd seen before. It was my birthday last weekend and Mother's birthday the day
after.
Happy
birthday. Do you want us all to sing you happy birthday?
No.
Good.
No.
Okay.
It's copyrighted, so
sorry, Inside Man. Sorry, you can't sing that.
Mother wanted to watch something. She wanted to eat some seafood and watch something kind of like Die Hard. It's her favorite movie, Cool. So I picked the movie that is my second time watching it. Mom's first time watched it. I picked Dragged Across Concrete for her.
Oh my gosh.
She
your mom
loved it. She loved that movie, dude. And I love it too. It's one of those things where after you watch it a second time, it solidifies your opinion on it, especially if you wait a few years for that second time.
Give our viewers a brief rundown of the plot without too many spoilers.
I mean, it's a series of disconnected vignettes that's crime oriented. There you got Mel Gibson and his partner Vince Vaughn, who are old cops, and you've got these two African American fellows who seem to be criminals or something. One of them just got out of prison, and the other one is kind of setting up jobs for them to do. And then you've got these two crazy dudes who wear the whole ski mask, body armor, get up, the whole movie. And they don't have any names. You don't see their faces. They're only known as Black Gloves and Gray Gloves because one of them wears black gloves, one of them wears gray gloves. And they're going around committing a series of robberies. And then you've got a woman who just had a baby and she's got to return to work. And you don't understand how these scenes are related. And then the final half of the movie is basically you realize it's all building up to a bank robbery. And these two cops who have been unceremoniously suspended without pay for being too rough on bad guys are trying to rob the robbers. And it's just insanely violent, insanely very slow roll, build up, slow burn. But once it kicks off, it doesn't really let up. And it's not really high octane action, but it's on edge. You're staking out, It's a very realistic gunfights and stuff and violence and all that stuff. And great performances all around from everybody in the movie. Pretty well-known cast members for these smaller movies. But of course it was made by what's his name? Zolan or whatever. He made Bone Tomahawk. And
he made that one, the one set in the prison as well.
Brawl in Cell Block 99, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That one was great. And a couple other good ones. But really, and it also had this old-timey film noir vibe in terms of the dialogue and the script. Kind of old-fashioned Hollywood movie with some new kind of, I don't know, just really, tense, just a tense, awesome movie. Very, very violent and fun and good. And, you know, my mom is like in love with Mel Gibson again, you know.
Cheers, Katrina. Thanks for popping on. Another new member of the Outcast Creative. I'm sure you subscribed. And big hugs to you. And reach out to me later if you need to, or tomorrow. So it's a good film. What would you give it out of 10?
Solid 8. Solid 8. 8.5 even.
It's Michael Sarah in the chat. The movie is awesome.
Yeah, man.
Let me know if you want to come on, Gord.
It's one of those movies that if you, you know, like I said, the first half, you're like, you know, especially if you go in it blind, you're like, what is happening? What am I watching? But you're not like, not interested, you know? But yeah, just a fun movie, man. Takes its time too, in a good way. And yeah, you got Don Johnson and who else was in it? That one lady from, was she in Get Out or whatever? Yeah, I don't know. The bank teller lady. She's good. Yeah. And, you know, there's just some really fun minor roles, but also the movie's kind of like a metaphor for, you know, I guess what we're getting with the diversity and inclusion in, you know, I guess behind the scenes in Hollywood and other career companies. I mean, that's kind of the vibe. You've got these two washed out, you know, white males who are getting, you know, in trouble for not being, you know, PC or whatever, being too hard on the edges. And then you've got these other young criminals who just kind of, they just kind of swoop in. And it's funny how like the movie plays out. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I think
no, don't spoil it.
I think like after the ending, you might understand what I'm talking about. I can't really divulge that.
You made my decision that I buy physical copies of films very rarely these days, simply because not only is it an expense that I really can't afford when I need to be frugal, but I just don't have the space. You know, it'd be pointless me getting dozens and dozens of Blu-rays that I probably might watch 1 or 2 times during the rest of my life. But I feel like I might have to make an exception for Dragged Across Concrete because it really deserves to be on the shelf.
Also, wouldn't be surprised if this movie, you know, if they ever got the ability to erase movies from the internet archives and bury them into the bowels of history, this one might get that treatment because it's a little edgy.
Yeah. We have a special guest who's just arrived.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Okay.
Look at that. Mr. Sarah, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. A little warm right now. I've been doing a lot of work around the apartment, so I'm a wee sweaty.
Oh.
Well, those high-end Actors Hollywood apartments require a lot of work, man. You should spend some of your hard-earned dollars getting a cleaner in or
sweaty gourds.
Right?
Do you want to say a few words about Dragged Across Concrete, Gord?
Yeah, I think I saw this for the first time about a year ago. I've become a pretty big fan of S. Craig Zahler and his films, and I've only read one of his books so far, but I'd like to read more of them because the one book I read of his, which was a Race of a Broken Land, I've kind of talked about ad nauseum on various streams, kind of singing its praises for how good of a Western novel that is, and how much I wish he had not given the rights to the film to Ridley Scott, because I think he's going to ruin it. But yeah, Zahler's a unique voice, and I really enjoy his work. And this is a dang good movie. Pretty brutal, but really good.
Yeah, good. What would you give it out of 10?
Probably 7.5 to 8.
Right. Who else has seen it?
No, not yet.
It's on my watch list, and plus it's got Don Johnson on as well, so you can't beat that. And Vince Vaughn. It's got some good actors on.
Yeah,
always worth checking out.
So this is interesting. He's only directed the 3 movies, but he wrote also Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich. I did not know that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Charlie Band.
He wrote the new meta Puppet Master. I need to watch this ASAP now.
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
maybe that paid for like a new bath extension or something.
That's rowdy.
You know what? There's another good Mel Gibson film that deserves some attention. Bloodfather. Anyone seen that?
Ooh,
I did see
yeah,
Bloodfather. That was
Bloodfather's
good.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well, do you want to make that your pick, Luke? Should we talk about that now?
no, because there's a few Halloween films I want to mention.
I'll show Bloodfather to Mom also and report back how she likes it. But she loves violent action movies, with people getting brutally murdered. She loves that stuff. So
yeah, back when Erin Moriarty didn't look like someone out of Boss Elector.
Yeah.
Well, Northern, give us your first pick, mate.
Okay, The Gates of Hell by Lucio Fulci, also called City of the Dead.
Oh wow, is that with Christopher Lee?
Nice. Good choice.
No. It's a bunch of Italian actors you've never heard of, but it does have some of the best zombie effects I've ever seen, even better than
If
the
I
ones.
didn't know better, I'd say that you've been hanging out with the Inside Man too much. Is this the one?
Because I've heard his name
with
mentioned
Samantha
before.
Noble?
Yeah, because I've heard Lucio Fulci's name mentioned before, but I never watched his stuff, and I've just watched Zombie as well last week as well.
Hang on, when did this come out, Northern?
Gates of the Dead came out in 1980, and like I said, I think the zombies.
So it's called The Gates of the Dead.
Gates
City of the Living Dead seems like the more acceptable, the more mainstream title.
Gates of Hell, City of the Dead. It's they've been called two different names, and it's all about
City of the Living Dead is a film I've seen.
It's also called Gates of Hell in some places. It's really about a priest that commits suicide, and he opens the gates of hell, and the dead are just about to rise. So now this reporter, some woman who has just been brought back to life, have to try and stop this quickly, but they only have 24 hours, and it's. Like I said, the zombie effects I think are much better than the George A. Romero ones, because these ones actually look really gross. They've got worms all over their faces, everything.
Yeah, but
it's very shocking.
Even Day of the Dead, though, Day of the Dead was next level. Yeah, the gore in that one's insane.
Oh yeah.
I remember this at the video store.
Yeah, this is the one with Christopher George.
Yeah, and I remember that. I can't remember why Paul, my kind of video rental guy, didn't want to rent it out, but I don't think it was packaged particularly well in the UK, and I'm wondering which one of these was the UK cover. I don't think Intervision was a UK distributor. Oh, maybe this must have been it. Yeah, look, Intervision, Mackay Trading Estate, Kensal Road, London, W10. Okay, so this is the UK cover. I think this is the reason that we didn't rent it, because that's not a great sales pitch, really.
I know, and it's a shame. Like, even the bloody HD transfer still has scratches all over the picture. And,
I like that. Yeah. I like that, though.
It does add a bit more of like that grain. That makes it look like a documentary a little bit. And but it is still very shocking. I mean, you got a woman actually puking her guts out, literally puking her guts out. It's really disgusting. Was this
also called Zombie Flesh Eaters, or was that another film?
It's done by the same guy, though.
So the same director. I was going to say, because I did see Zombie Flesh Eaters, but I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, well, the zombies look very the same, and it is more like it's not like a virus or something the government made in the fucking lab. It's more like it kind of goes back to the old voodoo sort of cases, the supernatural stuff, because that's what Lucio Fulci was more inspired by.
I feel like this was the first cover for this that I saw, even though the other one was the UK distributor. But I feel like I saw this cover because I remember this poster, or maybe it was just a poster that was in the shop window or something. But I do love seeing these kind of VHS packages.
Yeah, I love these Blu-ray covers, though. These they are good. Arrow collection kind of things, and
a lot of them now are kind of doing them in video boxes, aren't they? They're doing a lot of the DVD sets in old.
Oh God! Don't do that. It just takes up more space.
I like it. It just, it really gives you that nice nostalgia feel. The only disappointment is that you open the clamshell up and inside it's a DVD and not a nice big chunky video cassette.
This lady is the dead ringer for the very strange dinner lady that used to work at Arundel House, who had these horn-rimmed glasses and would sort of torture us with promises of presents that were never for the most well-behaved kid that never seemed to materialize. I think that was just her way of controlling the lunchroom. But there we are. So, oh well, that's definitely a Tash, isn't it?
Yeah. These three guys in the bars, they don't really amount much to the plot. They're just kind of there talking shit and then get killed. And even this guy, he's he makes no impact on the plot whatsoever. He just hangs around and then gets drilled in the head.
Hell yeah.
You're not selling this film to me, man.
That's a standard issue. If you're not contributing to the plot or the script, then you get killed off. You're cannon fodder for the zombies, you know?
Yeah, I actually thought it was going to build up to something, but no, it gets killed. But apart from that, it is very good. There's a lot of atmosphere, and the special effects are really gruesome, and it's very it keeps you on edge no matter what. This Lucio Fulci guy really knew how to shock, but at the same time, just build this great atmosphere, this very unnerving atmosphere that things are going down and humankind may be doomed.
Inside Man caption competition. What's being said here?
Sorry, mate. Hold on. Sorry, I've got to get my screen up. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Sorry. I'm actually laying down with my eyes closed.
Oh, sorry. I was under the impression that you were taking part and being quite engaged.
Listen, mate. I'm laying back. I've just had a couple of big slugs of ouzo, and I'm kind of in relaxed mode, just listening to what's going on. So
I dread to think.
Well, I think the guy on the right is telling the guy on the left. Do you really think a pelvic thrust is appropriate next to a coffin?
Yeah. Why have you got a big gobstopper in your mouth when you're working?
He's like, Jesus, what did that woman weigh? My back.
The guy looks like he's about to sing She Was an American Girl. Yeah.
I think I'm right in thinking that that's the New York skyline in the background, right? Because that's the Empire State Building, I think we can see.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that this same location, this particular graveyard with that view, has been used in absolutely loads of movies. I've always been curious to see where it is, because it's the only cemetery within view of New York that offers a view of the skyline of the city, and that's why we've seen it in so many films. I think it's the only one where you can get that kind of perspective in the background, you know. They're always using it for these like Irish gangster films and Irish gangster shows. Whenever there's a funeral, you know,
it might be the Greenwood Cemetery.
The Greenwood Cemetery.
Yeah, Green-Wood Cemetery.
Okay, I'll have a quick look for that.
So Brooklyn, New York, and it offers a view of the Manhattan skyline, so it might be that one.
This guy's doing his best George Segal impression here. Maybe he took the name Christopher George so that he could be mistaken for George Segal. What would you give this out of 10, mate?
Well, yeah, I'd give it a good 9 out of 10. It has its flaws, but it's still got this charm, though, and you can really tell a lot of hard work has gone into it. And yes, seeing the gore effects are really fucking gruesome.
Yeah,
and the soundtrack's awesome too. It really is.
Inside Man cameo. Drew Gordon gives it 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'd give it an easy 9 personally. I mean, what's interesting about Lucio Fulci, Dario Argento, Mario Bava, is, you know, when we had the kind of horror starting to die down a little bit in the United States, and then we had the Hammer horror. The Italians really absorbed. The Italians and the Spanish actually really absorbed the horror genre. They really kind of took it over, but they transformed it. They completely transformed horror, and then it went back to the United States. And of course, it was such a transformation that it evolved into, you know, what we have now in terms of, or certainly the classics that we have now in terms of people like Wes Craven and John Carpenter. I mean, they were heavily influenced by the Italians, who in turn were heavily influenced by the Universal Monsters and Hammer films. So So it's kind of gone through. It's almost like it's gone through a strainer, if you like, and it's constantly being distilled and distilled and distilled. Um, I don't know where we're at now. I think in terms of decent horror, I think Terrifier is probably the closest that we got to a fairly
Yeah, that's got
solid piece of horror just
that sort
recently.
of Italian vibe,
Yeah,
especially the
yeah,
first one.
yeah. But I love the Italians for what they've done. I mean, in all genre, really.
Yeah, apparently Lucio Fulci also did some spaghetti westerns. I'm gonna have to check these out. Because one thing about these Europeans, I mean, when something is died down a little bit in America, the Italians always seem to
Yeah,
do their own little
ramp it
twist.
back
I mean,
up. Yeah,
same thing for westerns. Same thing for
yeah,
westerns.
exactly the same thing for westerns. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've reinvented the western, and the western that we have now in the United States, because they added their own sort of twist on the western, this dirty, dark, quite nasty type of western. And of course, now it's been transported back to the United States, and it's
Yeah,
probably closer now to
yeah.
what
Every
what the
American western
western's
now
really
is
like.
like
Yeah.
he's stealing from the Italians. It's crazy.
I think because I mean we actually we had things like the Hays Code and everything that was governing the kind of violence that there was in westerns in the 50s and 40s, 50s and 60s. So we had the Hays Code there that was really responsible for the sort of nicey nice type of westerns. And the Italians, post-fascist, they were able to really dial it up. They had a certain level of they knew what oppression was like. They knew what hardship was like. Um, and fortunately, it re-transported to America. And like I say again, it's been distilled into now when we see an American Western, watching an American Western now, we probably have the closest that we will have to the reality of the American West,
Mm.
and that's because it's gone through this distillation process almost.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, Inside Man, give me your first pick for today.
I'm going to go with Lair of the White Worm.
Oh my god, I saw that at the
Yeah,
cinema.
yeah, me too, mate. Yeah, Vestron Pictures
Yeah.
production,
I
directed
don't
by
think they're
Ken
around
Russell.
anymore. I don't think Vestron's around anymore.
I don't think they are. No, no. It was a Ken Russell film, and of course, it's based on a Bram Stoker novel of the same name.
Yeah.
But the movie starts off. It's very, very different to the novel. But the movie starts off somewhere in England, and we have Peter Capaldi who plays an archaeologist, and he's working in the grounds of this big manor house owned by. It's like this big sort of family pile owned by Hugh Grant. Um, and he unearths this skull, these Roman coins. And as he unearths a little further, he finds a mosaic with this big worm and everything. It turns out that this skull and these remains are from this legendary dragon, serpent, worm type creature from way back.
It's
It's a
definitely
demonic.
Wormy Spoon's favourite movie because he's
Yeah.
he's got the name there.
And it stars Amanda Donohoe, who is looking absolutely smoking hot in this movie.
She
A
looks good
very
now.
Yeah,
Man,
oh, mate, you want to see her in her underwear in this? I mean, it's absolutely
I've seen her in Castaway with Oliver Reed, and yet she
yeah,
was
Isn't this also
smoking hot
this
back
is
in the day.
there's that sequence where you've got the two sort of air hostesses start fighting. Because this is a Ken Russell film, isn't it?
it is. It's a Ken Russell film, yeah,
Which
and
basically means women in stockings and suspenders wherever
yeah.
possible.
But I mean, the photography is really good. It's by Dickie Bush, who did
Yeah.
Sorcerer and
Who
what's the
got
one?
fired from
Quick and the
Alien?
Dead, and yeah, yeah. It looks great. It does look good, but
Yeah.
it suffers a little bit from the two other actresses who play the sisters, Mary and Eve, whose parents had disappeared like the year prior, played by Sammy Davis, and I can't remember the other girl actually.
Yeah, Sammy.
But Sammy Davis, I'm look, I don't want to speak ill of an actor or actress, as they like to call them these days. But I don't want to speak ill of anybody in the acting profession. But boy, that girl could not fucking act. My God, she couldn't act. I mean, she was one of the luckiest actresses, I think, of her generation. I mean, she managed to appear in Mona Lisa
Yeah,
and Hope and Glory, another good film. But
she was pretty good in Hope and Glory, I thought.
The problem was that she was playing, a girl that was supposed to be from the East End, but she still had a Welsh accent.
Right.
And she was trying to, in Lair of the White Worm, she was trying to play a northern girl, and all of a sudden she starts talking Welsh, isn't it? So it's like this weird kind of amalgam of, 1 minute she's slightly Scottish when she's talking to Peter Capaldi, and then she's going down to road, and then all of a sudden she's like slightly Yorkshire, Derbyshire, and then she's Midtown Cardiff. It's bizarre. The other young actress, who plays the sister Eve, her entire voice was completely dubbed over by another actress.
Right.
And
what was the reason for that?
I've no idea, but all I can surmise is this. I mean, look, the person who dubbed her voice was, Christ, she was bad. And all I
Right.
can think of is the performance by this actress must have been cataclysmic. That's, because the dubbed voice was even worse.
It
But
was Catherine Oxenberg played
that's
Eve
it, Catherine
Trout.
Oxenberg. That's the one.
Yeah.
But it's an okay film. Some pretty nice effects. It's a little bit funny here and there. It's quite funny seeing Hugh Grant. A little bit of an obvious ending. I'm not going to say what it is, just in case anyone wants to actually watch this thing. But it looks okay. The effects are pretty good.
Yeah, the makeup effects in it are excellent.
Yeah, they are. They're really good. They're really good.
I have a friend who's in this movie.
Oh, do you?
Who's a good friend of mine who's a student of Anna Scher's drama school.
I think I know the one who plays. Is it the one who plays Kevin? By any
Chris
chance?
Pitt.
Yeah.
Chris Pitt.
Yeah.
Chris Pitt is in this.
Yeah.
He plays
who meets
the Boy
an
Scout.
unfortunate demise. That's an unfortunate demise.
Yeah.
On the face of it, it kind of feels like it was going somewhere, but wow, that's not a pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to those boots. This is the scene I remember. It's kind of like a weird dream sequence where they're sort of air hostesses and they end up kind of fighting or something, and it's a bit like a scene from Benny Hill, and Lindsey Drew is in this as well, playing a maid, and she was like a famous Page 3 girl from what I remember, so glamour girl back in the day.
And we've got one of the old stalwart British actors that you'll remember, Lance, Stratford Johns. Do you remember Stratford Johns?
Yeah, I do.
And he used to be everywhere. But I mean, look, it's not Ken Russell's best. There's some nice stuff in it. I think after this, I think he did The Rainbow. I think, which also unfortunately had Sammy Davis in it. And again, she was pretty awful in that. But
was Ken Russell dating Sammy Davis at the time?
No. It was a happily married man. Bless him. I'm a big fan of some of Ken Russell's stuff. I mean, you look at things like The Devils and even Tommy. Although it's a wild film, Again, DOP was Dickie Smith, Dickie Bush on that.
Dickie Bush, yeah.
And I mean, that's a pretty mental film. That is a wild movie. But
What would you give this out of 10?
Probably a 6. It's okay. It's not brilliant, and it isn't one of Ken Russell's best, but yeah, it's okay for a sort of a quaint 80s horror / vampire-y type movie that's very loosely based on a Bram Stoker story. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's not perfect, but it's okay.
Okay, Gould, as you're our surprise guest, do you have a film or show that you've seen recently that you think's good that you'd like to recommend? Give it a shout out. I think you've got another stream on in the not too distant future.
Yeah, about 40 minutes from now, I'll be talking.
You can hang with us for a bit.
Yeah. But gosh, I've been pretty inundated with horror lately because we did Nadia's stream this past Saturday. So I'm watching a lot of horror movies recently, like 2024 ones. And I would say, let's see, there's 2 I'm mostly kind of landing on because they're the last 2 I watched and they're both really good. I'm going to recommend the French horror thriller Mads, which is it's done in single shot. It's got a really cool twist. I don't know if it's right to even call it a zombie film. I would say it's most akin to a zombie movie. But
didn't we talk about this last week?
Yeah, I did bring this up. I had watched it.
Yeah, Enzo did.
But yeah,
I kind of knew Enzo could it's this or Eczema would be the 2 I'd most recommend.
I want to say I talked about Eczema like a month or 2 ago when I did watch that too. Both of those movies blew my mind, man. I mean,
heck yeah.
Eczema more so. Eczema was
Eczema is definitely the better of the 2. That's why I assumed you've probably brought it up. This one, right. I thought, well, maybe not, but yeah, this one I would almost more call this like an infection outbreak type movie with a slight bit of zombiness to it, but it's done in one shot. It's basically you start by following this probably early 20s young French guy. He goes and visits his drug dealer and then takes off for his birthday party and ends up stopping because like he drops a cigarette on his dad's kind of really nice car. And while he's stopped, this woman gets into his vehicle and she can't talk. She I think she's got like her tongue removed or something. But she's trying to communicate that something's wrong. And even starts playing this recording that seems to suggest like she's been involved in some kind of experiment or whatever. So she starts trying to communicate this to him, and then she starts harming herself horribly. And you're like, oh my gosh, this woman just killed herself or something. And now he's panicking because he's like, oh my gosh, like he's probably thinking I'm going to get blamed for this. And he ends up still getting whisked away to his birthday after he's sort of cleaned himself up and whatnot. But he starts to exhibit symptoms similar to hers. And we kind of see this, whatever this is, pass amongst a few characters. So there's kind of three different character perspectives that we get over the course of the movie. It's pretty wild. It's a really interesting movie. It could have been better with maybe a little bit more information.
Could have easily been worse though, too.
Oh, it could have been significantly worse. Yeah. It definitely could have been a lot worse. Shit. Yeah. It's a really, really good movie. I mean, it's obviously you're gonna have to watch it with subtitles. It's all in French, but I mean that shouldn't be that big of a problem. It's not even necessarily like a fantastic screenplay or anything. You're more watching it for what's happening. Like a lot of this is done visually. What you're seeing happen to these people more manifests itself visually, and it's pretty chilling. It's pretty chilling to watch.
The Eczema one, Stupenzo. Did we talk about that before?
Yeah, like a month or 2 ago when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Gord, what would you give this out of 10? This one,
Mads, I would probably give probably about a 6.5 to 7.
Okay.
I would call it it's better than okay. I'm still kind of deciding on whether I think it's like a genuinely good movie. I think it
you're
probably
not going to buy the
bit.
Blu-ray, but you like it.
I thought it was like
I mean, I would buy it for cheap. Like I would buy it if it were like, $5, $6, $7. If I could find it, I'd be willing to add it to the collection.
Yeah, I found it to be like a really well made like B movie. It's like just really well done. But like, yeah, it's just standard kind of zombie schlock. It was like I said, it was like a subpar raid movie and a subpar zombie movie kind of combined to make this really like impressive movie.
Yeah, like it's not like one of the top tier horror movies of the year, but it's kind of in that next tier down. It's like I said, it could have used more information to kind of sort of help to spell out the implications of what could come from this. I think it would have resonated a little bit more with that. But it's a movie that does get stronger over the course of its like 85-minute runtime. It's pretty good. It was a nice movie to watch after the disappointment of watching Oddity, which was the movie I watched directly before this, which I found Oddity to be extremely disappointing.
Well, how do you spell the eczema one?
EXHUMA.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't find it. EXHUMA. Okay.
Yeah. Now, eczema. Eczema is one of the best movies of the year.
Oh, I don't. Depends. I'm not sure we talked about this one. Don't recognize the poster.
It's cool.
But I have just been to 6 raves in a row, so that might be why I don't remember. So this is eczema. This is Oddity. Which
Oddity I genuinely do not recommend. It is such a massive letdown.
Every murder lives on. Oddity.
Like the first half of Oddity and the atmosphere that's built up is really strong. It gets you hooked for like the first 40 or so minutes.
Right.
But the bottom drops out of this movie so hard that it makes the early part not worth it. It goes from being a movie that you feel like is going to be like a 7, 8, or 9 down to like a 4. I mean, it really falls hard.
Wow.
Does it fall hard when this strange puppet appears?
That thing's only in the movie for like half a second, but yeah, it's a movie that you think is going to be really interesting and really, really clever. And yeah, it completely falls apart. I was so disappointed by it. Because it has such a promising setup. And it's well acted. It's the setting is fantastic. And it's got all of the elements of what could be a great movie, and it just falls so hard.
Is this the lady from Game of Thrones, or does she just look like the lady from Game of Thrones?
It kind of looks like her. I'm not sure if that's.
No,
it's Carolyn. It's Carolyn Bracken.
This is largely an unknown cast by the looks of things.
Yeah, I don't think she's in Game of Thrones.
Right.
But she's a good actress. She does do a good job in the movie. It's not like her fault or anything that the movie ends up not working. It's more just it's not a well-written film when you get to the second half of it.
You give Oddity a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it, Stupenzo?
Yeah.
What would you give it?
What are we talking about? Oddity?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. I mean, it actually got some good jump scares in there early on, and it had some good moments. It could have been cool if it was like a loosely connected anthology. But yeah, the thing is, it's just the ending is like very obvious, and then there's some weird plot contrivances, and they kind of try to do the sequel bait thing that's like they're gonna do the Oddity universe or whatever. It's like, no, we don't care.
And a lot of the stuff they set up doesn't connect.
Right.
They set up a whole lot of stuff that really doesn't connect to the rest of the film. It's just like, it's just lame red herrings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the funny thing about this movie is Eczema sort of is similarly almost 2 movies in one. Like it kind of does a 180 about halfway through, but a great one that actually makes sense and elevates the film to something like it goes from being a really cool horror movie to borderline a great film. Maybe even, I've only seen it the one time, so I really want to watch it again.
I'm kind of intrigued just from the images.
Yeah, Eczema gets freaking wild, and in a really good way too. I mean, it has I brought this up on
in that movie.
Yeah, like I brought this up on Nadia Stream. One thing I love about Asian cinema is they don't apologize for kind of the cultural aspects of their movies, particularly their horror movies, because they have a very simple acceptance of like spiritual elements. Like that's a huge part of this movie, and there's no apologizing for it whatsoever. It's just accepted.
Right.
And the way they utilize that in the film is extremely effective. Like it's like you think the movie is one thing for half the film, and then when it turns, it's like, oh my gosh, this movie just got absolutely bonkers
tonight.
Where can I see this?
Where can I see this?
It's on Prime right now. It might actually be on sale on Amazon Prime. I mean, at least in America, I got it for $5 on Amazon Prime about a week ago. But
I'll check to see if it's on Amazon right now.
You can see it on AMC as well.
Luke or Inside Man, have you seen Exuma?
No, not yet. But again, another one that's going to be added to my list.
Yeah,
that's cool. Especially for Halloween time, man. It's wild.
Oh, I've seen this actor, Yoo Hae Jin, in a few things. Is this a Korean film? Yeah. I feel like he was in Last Train to Busan, maybe.
Possibly, yeah. Train to Busan, yeah.
Gary Bolton is saying Parasite the Grey is also cool. I need to finish that. That's been we tried watching that a while ago, didn't we?
I watched all of that on Netflix. That's kind of these alien things infecting people. It's a bit like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it's a bit different.
Yeah, apparently there's another few, I think, TV show, a few films before it, though, so I probably might have to delve into them first. Who knows?
No, you can watch the show that was on Netflix, totally self-contained.
Oh, is it?
I think there had been other things in the same
mangas
universe
as well. I think it's been a manga, and I think it might have been an anime too.
Yeah, I mean, but the one on Netflix is totally its own thing, so you can watch that. Just that if you want. What would you give this out of 10, guys?
I would probably go as at least an 8 out of 10. This is a really strong first-time viewing. I really, really liked this a lot. This is and it may get better on rewatch because there's a lot of layers to it. It's one that you're not going to glean everything you can from it on first watch because there's a lot of interesting details, and they do a lot of legwork to justify the twists and turns, which I very much appreciated. That's kind of a lost art these days.
I would agree. Stupenzo, what else you got to recommend this week?
Let's see. I did watch a bunch of horror movies that we didn't talk about on Nadia's show. All of them bad.
Is that a good There's a good reason for not talking about them because they were not great.
Yeah. I did watch The Red, aka Rippy, which was a killer kangaroo movie. Not great. But it's got Michael Biehn in it in Australia hunting a zombie kangaroo. I also watched 3 really bad movies on the past 3 live streams I did. I did a movie called Vampire Nights, like Knights. It was insane because you think it's going to be about nighttime, like knights, in shining armor fighting vampires. Instead, it's like a weird movie that's like very meta because apparently there's a fan club called Vampire Nights that you got to be a part of to like rid the world of vampires. And it seems like a weird guy just doing like a nerdy, like pyramids, like kind of fan club, I don't know. It's just like a scam. Send me money and I'll send you this
from the 80s.
Yeah. Send me money and I'll send you a fun vampire pin. Well, I don't know. One of these guys is a nerd living in this horror room that he loves and watching horror stuff. And his 2 cooler friends are going to a party. And his drunk buddy wants to see that cool medallion he has, that necklace, and wear it as jewelry because it's cool. And he's like, you got to be part of the Vampire Nights Club, bro. And he's like, it doesn't matter, dude. And they go out to he wears the necklace, goes out to a party, and encounters 3 real vampire chicks who obviously see the Vampire Nights pin. They know what that means, apparently. And they seduce these guys to take them back home and drink all their blood. And it turns out that this nerdy guy has been training his whole life for this moment. And it's basically a bunch of people creeping around an apartment for an hour and a half. It's terrible. It was one of the worst movies I'd ever seen. So
What do you
so
give it out of,
I would recommend an enthusiastic like 2 out of 10. Watch it though; it's worth seeing because of
Yay.
how bad it is.
I'm in.
I
And
feel
then
that
last night I watched a movie called The Boogans, which was
Oh yeah.
better in terms of quality, but it makes that primal mistake like we were talking about earlier. You know, you want your like City of the Living Dead, you want to have a few main characters, right? But then you also want a bunch of nonsense secondary characters that the monster can kill, right? This movie makes that mistake where they have like, you know, 4 main characters and a dog and 2 other characters that work in the mine shaft. So there's like 6 characters. And obviously, like, you know, you can only have like, you're going to have 2 people survive. So yeah, you're only going to have like a body count of 4. So that was a problem. But also the Boogan creatures are very non-threatening. They look like basically like, I don't know, slugs with tentacles and teeth, and they're not very big, and they kind of crawl around, and they're like vampires. They live in a mine shaft that is a cave that's connected to the cabin that they're staying in. And they did it really dirty because there's a cute dog named Tiger who's basically the star of the movie, or should be anyway. And there's a part where you think Tiger's been killed, and surprise, he comes out, he's alive, and then he does get killed right at almost like a few minutes after that. That was very, very not cool movie.
I've seen that there's no actors of note in that film. The Boogans, directed by James L. Conway, 1981.
What's interesting is one of the ladies who does get naked, by the way. And she looks good. She meets the director for this movie, and they ended up getting married. So even something as stupid as the Boogans has a happy ending. You know, there's a good reason why that movie was made, so those people could meet and fall in love.
Well, look, before we have to lose Gord King, I'm sorry, I feel we need to investigate this killer kangaroo film.
Local kangaroo effects, or maybe like, I don't know, film a real kangaroo and maybe like make it bigger using computer effects, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, Razorback it ain't.
It was giving me like what's that stupid kangaroo movie with
Kangaroo Jack?
Kangaroo Jack. It was like if Kangaroo Jack was a zombie. I mean, it looked like Kangaroo Jack. It was CGI mess.
It would improve the movie, I will say that.
I definitely got to check that out. I mean, for Michael Bean, Terminator and Aliens must have seemed like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
he does actually look like he's taking it seriously as well. Like it's the next big thing. And God bless him.
He's the name. He's the name. It's like go into his agent one day. Look, I want to work again. I've cleaned up my act. What do you got for me? Well, we got this horror kangaroo film, mate, from, I don't know why I'm good suddenly doing Australian accent, from Australia.
Maybe. Oh my gosh. What if it spawns like sequels and we have an alternative Rippaverse?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
No, I would think maybe it's more along the lines of like, hey, we want at least one big name for our movie.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Let's get Michael Bean, but also like entice him with like, hey, dude, you get a free trip to Australia. You know, you shoot out in the outback. You know, I mean, it's like a vacation. You know, these because it is filmed like it's just like these a lot of these indie movies, especially indie horror movies. It's mostly filmed out in the woods, natural light. But I mean, let's go out to the bush, hang out in Australia, have a few Fosters. You know. Should be fun.
If you speak to Matthew, the Australian filmmaker who comes on here quite a bit, he'll it's so funny in England. We've got this kind of cute, cuddly perception of kangaroos because of the Skippy TV show and all that.
Hell no, dude, they're dangerous.
Yeah, they're really dangerous. They're considered, you don't. If one of them hits your car, they can take you off the road, and they're really aggressive.
They also have like huge talons. Like they got claws like rabbits, like they can mess you up real bad. And they're big, and they drown people, and they drown dogs all the time. Because apparently, like what happens is you see a kangaroo like standing in the middle of like a pond, and they look distressed, and people stupidly like go out to help the kangaroo. But what they don't realize is this is what kangaroos do. They hide in water when they feel threatened, because if you come near them, they'll just drown you. They'll hold your head underwater and kill you. They do it to dogs and people all the time.
God damn.
Why do I get the feeling these people watched that episode of Mighty Boosh and thought, okay, You know the one with the boxing kangaroo, and thought this could be a good film.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is one of those movies where, you know, I mean, it looks good. It's got a decent camera work and stuff. And, you know, they obviously splurge on special effects. But yeah, it's like they know they're being bad. You know, I prefer it when they think like they're making a really good movie and it just fails. Like, they feel, you know, I don't really appreciate it when the movie's like, we're just going to make some crap. You know, people are going to like it because it's stupid, you know.
Well,
seems...
before I get Northern and Inside Man's other choices for tonight, we should let Gord King go because he's got another stream. Mate, do you want to plug anything while you're here quickly?
Well, one piece of information for us. You know what the most terrifying thing about a kangaroo really is, though? Is that their testicles are above their penis. That's horrifying.
We won't ask you why you know that, Gord King.
Because I watch EFAP.
You have been in some strange movies, so
That's pretty cool.
They.
Do you want to plug anything else? Apart
yeah, what stream are you going to be on?
Located above.
I am about to be on
kangaroo. Is there anything you want to plug? Yes,
I'm about to be on
kangaroo testicles.
It's a huge topic. It needs to be investigated. But I'm about to be on Jacob Ironside's stream. We're talking Sleepy Hollow. Be myself, him, Vex Electronica, Shield Wall. I think one or two other people as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. I was gonna have a video where I poorly explained the plot of Halloween, but I think I'm going to turn that into an essay that I might put out next year because I actually think Halloween is highly overrated and would like to explain why. But I'm actually, my next poorly explained I'm working on is for the original Terminator, so that'll actually be fun. Probably release sometime in early to mid-November.
Okay.
And Sunday I will be on Sammy 3Peat's live show. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm going to be on Sammy 3Peat's new live show on Sunday, so that'll be fun.
All right.
Nice one.
Well, good. But yeah, with your Terminator review, don't be upsetting Galen Hurd, please. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Gord. Really appreciate you popping in. I know you've got such a hectic filming schedule, so it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you here, buddy. And I look forward to your future videos and streams and so forth. I know you're not doing many live streams now, but
appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, you're always welcome, man. All right. I'll catch you soon.
Later.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, take care, mate.
So, Inside Man and Northern, your final picks for today. What you got?
Well, I'm going to go with another Amicus anthology, and that's From Beyond the Grave.
You can pick some nice films occasionally if you want.
No, I thought I'd stick with the Halloween type thing, you know, the scary
yeah.
Thing. So From Beyond the Grave, it's it's another one of the anthology movies from Amicus. It's probably the best one, I think. It's certainly the slickest one. Peter Cushing, he owns this little antique shop, and of course, with these different customers that come in, starting with David Warner, who buys a mirror, and
it's like 4 short stories, isn't it? All connected to the antique shop.
It's and they each of the people that come in, they kind of stitch him up slightly. They con him a little bit. You know, they shortchange him, and others convince him that the object isn't worth a great deal. Like the mirror, like with David Warner's story. I mean, that's a good story. So they decide to hold a séance in this house, and of course this thing kind of appears in the mirror that makes him do certain things. I'm not going to give too much away. That's the first story. David Warner's great in it. I mean, he's terrific in it. There's another story with Donald Pleasance and his daughter Angela, which is pretty creepy.
Is that his daughter in real life?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So that's her in this shot here with Ian Bannon. And anyone who doesn't know who Ian Bannon is, he plays the leprosy father in Braveheart, the father of Robert the Bruce.
Yeah, he was also in The Witchfinder General as well, that I mentioned last week, and in Hope and Glory as well. Yeah, great actor. So you got a story with Ian Bannon, and then you got another story with that story is pretty good actually, because that's got Diana Dawes.
This is the scene I always remember from this movie, the seance scene. That's
yeah,
with David
yeah,
Warner.
yeah. It's a really good scene, and yeah, it's pretty creepy. There's another story with Ian Ogilvy who buys an antique door. And wow, that's a creepy one. That's a very, very creepy story.
God, that's Jack Watson from the Wild Geese.
That's right, yeah.
The Sergeant Major. Good
Yeah.
God, that's him.
And there's another story with Ian Carmichael as well. So it's funny. What's weird is, the three of the stories have lead actors called Ian, with the most Ians in any movie. But it's good. It's good. It's it's got its usual sort of creepiness. It's anyone who knows their old sort of 60s 70s British horror, Amicus was almost an extension, if you like, of Hammer. I mean, when Hammer started to tail off a little bit in the 70s, Amicus really took over. And I just love the anthology stories, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, as I mentioned the other week, and Vault of Horror, another one. Asylum, another very good one, written by Robert Bloch, who wrote.
Is that Angela Pleasant still acting? She?
I think she probably is. I'm sure she is. She looks remarkably like her father. If you shaved her
Well, she's
head.
got his eyes, hasn't she? She's got his eyes.
Good God, yeah. I mean, he never blinked, and I'm sure she doesn't blink.
I'd love to see her on stage
Yeah.
doing a line where she suddenly
doing
goes,
a line.
No, not doing a line.
Doing a line.
Doing a line from one of her dad's movies.
Oh,
where
right.
she goes, I can see perfectly. From The Great Escape, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah. She is still alive. She's 83. So
wow, really?
Yeah. Older than I
she's
would have thought.
83.
Yeah.
Crikey. Yeah.
It's a nice picture of her with her dad online, actually. That's quite
yeah,
cool.
I mean, it's actually quite sweet seeing them together, and both being equally as creepy as each other,
Right.
But Peter Cushing, I think, is exceptional in this movie. I mean, he does this really good sort of Yorkshire type accent, and he's he's all sort of old and doddery. But he's terrific. It's lovely seeing him with a different accent. Of course, I think he lived in was it Scarborough? I think he actually ended his days in Scarborough. I think he lived in Scarborough. But
I don't know. I would have loved to have gone round and played a war game because he's a massive war gamer, wasn't he?
So, yes, he was. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He's quite Napoleonic, very much into the Napoleonic
he
war
was.
era. Yeah. But by all accounts, a real gentleman, and not just a gentleman, but a gentleman as well.
Yeah. I quite liked his Doctor Who portrayal in the two Doctor Who movies.
Apart from the fact that he actually did call himself, I am Doctor Who, when he introduced himself. But yeah, they were the Hammer films, weren't they? That Jason's father directed.
Yeah. Gordon Flemyng directed them both. What would you give this out of 10?
It's an easy 8. I love these anthologies.
Has anybody else seen it?
No.
It's been too long since I last saw it for me to rate it, but I'm gonna watch it. I've got it queued up already to watch it after this stream. So it is widely available, and I'll leave that there. Luke, what have you got?
Okay, well, it's basically two films that are part of a series. It's The Addams Family and The Addams Family Values. Very fun adaptation of the old comic strips and the TV show, and it does kind of go really sort of dark humor. It's kind of like a good twist on the nuclear family, except they're very gothic, and the most happiest family moments is them doing the most depraved shit or being depraved. And The first film is about some con man trying to use their long lost brother Fester to swindle them out of money, and the second is where Uncle Fester marries a serial killing, gold digging psychopath who takes him away from his family and drives the family apart. It's downright funny with the very late Raul Jr. on very suave form as Gomez Adams. He's got great chemistry with Angelica Houston, who plays Morticia, and a very young Christina Ricci as Wednesday Adams. And it's if you just want some very good, dark, mean-spirited laughs, you'll have it. But at the same time, you kind of love this family. You just you don't want anything bad to happen. At least anything that they deem is terrible for them to happen. But
yeah, I was still working at the cinema when this was released. And this is actually probably dropped during my last period of working there. I would think. Yeah, I liked it. Good. The first one I really liked. The second one I've only seen once.
It's worth watching again because I think Debbie is probably one of the funniest psychopaths I've ever seen in a movie.
Nads is in the chat.
Hello, Nadia.
Good to see you, Nadia. Let me know if you want to pop on. We're near the end, but if you do want to pop on quickly.
John Cusack, she's just downright funny. She's like this Black Widow who's killed a load of rich people and swindled them out of their money and spent all the money, and now she's looking for the next rich husband, and that is Fester Adams. And she probably has one of the funniest lines ever. She's like showing these slides of all the people she killed to the Adams, they actually sympathize with her as well because her parents didn't buy her a ballerina Barbie. They bought her Malibu Barbie.
I like it. It's a good film. I do like Joan Cusack. She's great. But when I was a wee bairn, on Sundays, you would still occasionally see in the sort of mid 1970s, you get repeats of this on Sunday, sort of early or late Sunday afternoon. This is the original television series.
But they also showed it. If you remember, they used to show it Friday nights, just before the Tube. Do you remember the Tube?
That's right. God, yeah. That was In the 90s, they repeated it, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was it was just before the Tube
on Channel 4.
Yeah, and they did the Monsters as well. They ran the Monsters, and then they run the Addams Family. Then I think after that it was the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
just before the Tube. Yeah,
I have watched the original Monsters. I have not watched the film adaptation, but I've heard it's very, very bad though.
Well, there's you've got the 2019 Addams Family movie.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought it was way too bloody kid friendly. It lacks that really dark mean spirit.
Yeah, it wasn't
the original.
It wasn't good. This is Inside Man's greatest role. He played the hat.
What I really like about Cousin It is that one of the ladies who visits them, she's really freaked out by how these people live, but it's not till she meets Cousin It she starts to really embrace the lifestyle that they live. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
And Angelica Houston, Raul Julia were definitely born to play these roles.
Yeah, there was Angelica Houston. I don't think Angelica Houston has ever looked more beautiful here. She's great. She's very mesmerizing here, and Raul Julia, God rest his soul, man. He is so fucking cool. He is so suave, so confident. And
wasn't the last role he played Captain Bison in the
he was funny though. He was fun. I think he was doing it for his grandchildren, and plus I give him credit for actually going through with it, despite the fact he was suffering real bad cancer, especially. And yet,
if he did it for his kids, I mean, it's actually not. If you watch it as a children's action film, it's fine. You just can't watch it as an adult.
I still love it as an adult. It's because even though it's made for kids, it does have an adult sense of humor. I mean, there's a part where
there's some fun things in it. I really did like this movie. There's a lot of like little details in shots as well. Like when you watch it the third time, you pick up on a lot of stuff. Very
yeah,
good.
and I
Christopher
think
Lloyd is
Phil
brilliant.
Inks 68 is talking about the freak out when the baby gets cast with blonde locks. Yeah, even the bedroom turns all nice and colourful and adorable as well, and they're totally freaking out. I mean, he's like, if he doesn't get cured soon, he could become a lawyer. No, orthodontist. No,
No.
president. No.
He starts crying.
This is quite interesting. I just wonder, like, like looking at these other adverts, you know, the ones that are. I wonder if there's any like in jokes here, but it all seems fairly like naff.
Yeah,
Dude, I love all the summer camp stuff in part 2.
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah,
when they get locked in that cabin.
Oh yeah,
and the boy
Pete
sees the
McNichol.
poster of Michael Jackson, just starts screaming, ah, ah! It's like Heal the World or whatever. Oh
yeah,
God.
Peter McNichols is one insufferable asshole, and God, he's funny. He's like he's totally
great.
tyrannical. He has to have. He uses play at summer camp to unveil his vision. It realize his vision is like, what the fuck? And Wednesday just shits all over it in style. She actually turns the fucking summer camp into a total like a war zone. It's
Popularity contest too. Like he makes all the cute girls that he likes, you know, all the peppy ones.
Yeah.
They're all the pilgrims, and all the nerds and rejects. They're all the Indians, you know. And it's just so funny, man.
So you know that phrase. You know that phrase that we often use. You know the phrase that everybody uses. This movie would never get made today.
Oh yeah.
Right. Now we know these movies would never get made today, but thankfully we still have them. And when everybody gets really bored with the kind of crap that's being churned out right now, with the kind of dull sludge that keeps being served to us as an audience, people are going to go back to these movies and they're going to start enjoying them again. So thank goodness we still have them. You know, and thank goodness we don't make movies like this today, that they'd never get away with it today, because people will go back to them.
You guys want to know something pretty funny?
I wish we did still make movies
Plus,
like this.
it does have a very good Halloween style vibe as well. Just the way the architect of the actual house is made. It looks like something out of a Tim Burton film, but it's not. It's done by Barry Sonnenfeld. But we do have Danny Elfman doing the score, which
that's an exact replica of the house from the original show. So they did it way before Tim Burton. Yeah,
and it looks really decayed and everything and morbid, but it looks so great. It's
a great bit. This is a great behind the scenes shot, isn't it? For when they built this massive miniature, like really big. This is even bigger than Action Man size by the look of it, and then they filmed it being burnt as a physical prop. That's pretty cool.
I think that's Debbie's house in the.
Look at that as well for the model for the house. Look.
Oh, look at that! That looks good. That looks good.
Yeah.
Miniature cars. It's always very interesting to see. Hang on, there's a hippo in the background of that. Look, what's that? What's going on there?
They were doing get ready for the Congo movie. It's I don't know. I have no idea.
It's not that bloody baby hippo that keeps photobombing on every single meme, is it?
I mean, this
is great. I love looking at this.
Yeah, Moodang. Moodang's famous international icon right now. That little pygmy hippo.
I don't get the name, but it's adorable.
Yeah, you guys want to hear something for kind of funny and adorable? I was inside the house a minute ago, and Mother's saying the computer room has like a weird smell, and found a dead rat in the closet that my cat killed. It had only been there for maybe a day, but still, geez, my cat is a vicious murderess, dude. She's killer. She's a little killer.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want a cat. You want a cat.
Play with their food.
I know she grabbed that the rat from outside and brought it in, which is awful. She brought a squirrel in one time. I had to rescue it from her.
Yeah, I actually remember going down to see my mum, and one of the cats apparently had killed one of the mice, and it had no head. There was like no head. It was just stuck there headless.
Yummy.
And I had to be the one to get rid of it. I had to. Yeah. Everyone was just running around like headless chickens, and
my mom thought it was a dead bird in there, and I thought so too. She told me this. I think it's a closet in the computer room, and I was like, okay. And I was like, ooh, that is not a bird.
What would you What would you give these films out of 10, guys?
Oh yeah, definitely 9 out of 10.
What,
Yeah.
both of them?
Yeah. I think they're both equally great.
I can't really say which one's better. They're both just.
I think I like the second one better, honestly, because Joan Cusack is just hilarious as the villain.
Yeah.
She is.
I will say this as well.
A great actress.
Yeah, and this time we are actually seeing Christopher Lloyd really get into Uncle Fester because in the first one, he still don't know if it's him. He could be an imposter, but because he's still just this other guy who doesn't remember who he is. But in the second one, this is Uncle Fester. We're seeing who this guy is finally, properly, all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, when they have the stripper in the cake for his birthday or his bachelor party, they open up the cake and they're like, "Lurch, was she in the cake before you baked it?" And she's like, "C'est la vie, c'est la vie." That's all he says. Yeah, they're all just.
It's so dark. It's just so fucking dark. The humor. I mean, Jesus Christ, but it's so good.
Oh, when he goes to the police to like report that his, it's like, "You don't understand. This woman, Debbie, has married my brother. She has passionate love with him every day. She's trying to keep him away from us." And the guy's like, "This is not against the law. You know, like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Has the whole world gone mad?
I like.
Morticia says to Debbie, "Is like, you have taken Fester from us. You have put some strange spell on him. I admire that."
I like this actor, Peter McNichol.
He
used to be in Ally McBeal, if I remember rightly.
He's a very funny actor. I mean, have you seen him in Dracula Dead or Loving It? He captures the mannerisms of the
That's a
original
terrible movie, man.
No, shut up. It's hilarious.
Awful.
I know, but it's funny.
Oh,
I was just showing last night. I was showing the scene where Steven Weber like hits the stake through her heart, and he doesn't realize he's going to get like literally buckets of blood spraying on him. So his reaction's totally genuine when it's like an ungodly amount of blood just spurts out all over him. It's so good. But also, Peter McNichol in the Bean movie. You know, that's so good. Because, I mean, they did the thing where they make Mr. Bean kind of like the title character, but not the main character. The main character is Peter McNichol, who runs the art museum in Los Angeles, California. And he's going to have a wonderful, very intellectual and well-regarded art historian stay at his place. And he's going to basically take care of him while he does this big Whistler's Mother unveiling. And it's Mr. Bean, who's not an art expert. He's a total moron. And like he's like in denial, you know, he's understanding that the guy's a little eccentric, but like eventually he comes to terms and realizes like this guy's a buffoon. It's so good.
Super chat from Blue Collar Loser, who's paying me money in order to compensate for the fact that he's not here right now.
Oh, bless him.
Both movies is truly perfect. I love it. Yeah, I haven't seen these since they came out. I have to admit, I loved them.
They hold up.
I loved them at the time. Maybe I should have them in my collection. Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, worth watching it. Yeah, she's so good in this. I'm not
do
gonna lie,
love.
Jack doesn't usually do it for me, but she does it for me. I don't know
The
why.
first one
really-
especially, the
like
second
her
one
in
especially,
working
like is funnier nowadays. I think it's even more funny nowadays.
Yeah, I can imagine that. She's got a great part in Working Girl with Melanie Griffiths, which I think came out in '88. And there's that scene where she pretends to be Griffith's secretary, and she's like, "Hold all calls, Miss McGill." And like Harrison Ford's come to the office, and you know, would you like anything? Cup of tea, me?
Dude, in this one where she meets Raul Julia, Gomez Adams for the first time, and she's like, "Isn't he a lady killer?" He pulls a cigar out of his mouth. He's like, "Acquitted."
So many good lines, and this is what I don't get about the Wednesday Netflix, because they have this big mystery that this big secret that Gomez killed someone, and this could affect the family. But wait, what do you mean? It's the Adams family. This would just bring the family together. This is kind of, they'd probably be celebrating this kind of shit. Yeah. They're the twisted version of the nuclear family. That's what they are. The most depraved shit is their family fun time. What keeps them loving each other.
I do remember this scene with these two guys were great as these sort of over the top. And I worked on a summer camp, man, and there were people like this, you know.
Yeah, you can really tell the malice as well in their performances as well. You can really tell
they hate their job, they hate the kids, they hate the camp, but they have to have a smile on and be all energetic. It's their shtick. It's so good.
Yeah, and it's the perfect hell to put the kids in as well. A very chirpy, lovely, summery summer camp.
I forgot Nathan Lane was in this.
He's the cop. He's in the scene where Raul Julia is like trying to get the cops involved.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this bit where she's giving birth is like, do you need any anesthetic? No, thank you, but do ask the children.
Yeah. I still say every once in a while from Nathan Lane, and that he's got that line: "Hook 'em, book 'em, cook 'em now."
I like his delivery more when he goes, "Who moved the rock?" You can tell he just wants to get the fuck on away from these people.
Well, I'm going to give these a 9 out of 10 as well, because I'm sure I would agree with you on the rating. I need to rewatch them. I haven't seen them since the 90s. I've never owned these movies. I don't know why I didn't, because I did like them. I love Dr. Seuss, man. So fab.
He lives.
All right. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to recommend real quick before we wrap up?
No, but I am going to give these a 9.
You're going to give them a 9?
Yeah, easy.
Okay, so that's
Great
9s
choice.
all round. 9s all round from the panel.
Fantastic choice.
Essential viewing.
So just to let people know, and I'm sorry because I forgot to change it, so it confused people for a little bit. I did have to move my interview with Jeffrey Byron, actor Jeffrey Byron. He had a production meeting. You know, these things happen when you're in Hollywood, about funding, which is always the most crucial element of making a movie. Without the funding, it don't happen, basically. So, but he very kindly still agreed to come on. We just had to move the date, so it's been rescheduled. So he's now coming on. I think it's next week, the 7th of November, and I've actually got 2 interviews that day. I've got games designer Dana Lombardi is coming back on the show. He's got a new game on Kickstarter, so we're going to be talking about that. So that's around midnight, and I've got Jeff Byron's coming on at 4 p.m. because he wants to literally do the interview as soon as he gets up before his working day. So it's an unusual time, 4 p.m. And I think I mentioned last week that he's part of a Hollywood acting dynasty. His mother was Anna Lee, who was in the original black and white King Solomon's Mines, among 135 or however many other acting credits she had. So really looking forward to talking to him. And I've got some other interviews coming up as well. One that I know the Inside Man is particularly looking forward to is the one with one of them, the godfather of British comics.
Wow. Yes.
And that interview is coming up also in November, but the time for it has changed. We're going slightly earlier, I believe. So Pat Mills, one of the key guys at the golden era of 2000 AD, we're going to be doing that interview at, I think it's going to be 6 p.m. UK time. Is that still good for you?
That's good for me, mate. Yeah, look, I would absolutely make time for that regardless.
Right. Very good. So, so coming on, who's coming on the 15th of November, Friday, the 15th of November. Then I've also got an interview coming up with Adele Andaya, who's a DJ on the music scene in London, along with Charmin Love, who's a DJ on the music scene in Brighton. They are coming on the 12th of November. So I've got 3 industry interviews lined up for the next couple of weeks. Going to be pushing it to hit 100. I'm not sure if I can hit 90 at this rate before the end of the year. But I am talking to a few other people. It's just a question of pinning down dates and times. Of course, hopefully we've got the wonderful Cindy Pickett coming on in November as well. But Pat Mills coming on. Can't wait to talk to him. I feel that there may be swearing during that. So Pat Mills, Critical, can't wait. Indeed, he was responsible for all of these things. Worked
Strontium
on
Dog being one of them.
Yeah, that's
Nemesis,
actually
Warlock, another one.
Strontium Dog is actually my favorite 2000 AD character. Yeah, I like him even more than Dredd.
Love Strontium. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nemesis the Warlock is another one.
that's my least favorite.
Oh, really?
No, I never liked Nemesis. I just didn't like the way the character. It's like this weird horse with a big sword, and they always put the new sort of avant-garde artists on Nemesis to draw it.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of people that clearly had taken a lot of drugs before they hit the because you've got this very kind of bizarre. It just wasn't to my taste. I was a big sort of Equizera fan, because it was very filmic. You know, it was very
yeah.
I could see these scenes in movies, whereas you got this much more kind of expressive art, and I was like, "What the fuck? What's going on here?" So yeah, I found it very hard. I don't even think I even read the Nemesis stories when I got 2080. I kind of look at them and I go, I'm not into this. This world is a bit too out there for me.
Yeah.
But I know. Listen, I know it's got its fans, and there's probably people cursing me all over the UK right now. Certainly 11 of them, anyway. Those people that are watching. I also did a news stream the other day, completely spontaneous thing. So Pinky, who's a good friend of mine from the dance scene, we decided to do Pinky and Lancey's rave reportage.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You know what? It was a ton of fun because we were both like, I was feeling a bit miserable. So there was a couple of things on the weekend that hadn't quite gone my way, and I was feeling a little bit down. And I messaged her and I said, "Look, I fancy doing a live stream in exactly 50 minutes." And I was thinking we could do this. We could talk about the clubbing events we've been to this year, because she's been to loads, I've been to loads. Do you fancy doing it? And fortunately, she was up for it. She's like, "Yeah, go on," because I'm feeling a bit down. I was like, "Great, let's do it." And so and I quickly activated my Enzo 9000 app, which suddenly produced this piece of artwork. Every computer should have one of those. And and we did a stream on Monday. I don't think we're going to do it every Monday night, but I think maybe we might do one of these a month.
Yeah, could be a good one, mate. Yeah, she's a real pip, as they say.
Yeah.
A real
Drew
pip,
Gordon is saying that John Wagner was Strontium Dog. But I think Pat Mills might have been.
Pat Mills. Yeah, Pat Mills was definitely
involved. Pat Mills would often design a lot of the storylines and concepts, because he didn't create Judge Dredd, but he took the sort of what there was at that time of Dredd, and then really built a much bigger world with much more interesting characters, and added a lot of layers to what there was of the sort of bare bones of Dredd at that time. But I think he was involved with Strontium Dog from the beginning. We can ask him.
Yeah,
be in the chat, Drew, and you'll be able to put some questions to him.
And of course, as you say, I think the Carlos Esquera, that was kind of like the moment of Dredd, wasn't it? That was Dredd, the definitive Dredd.
Yeah,
Carlos Esquera Dredd. Yeah,
I would agree. So we're also going to be talking to the cast of this film, This Side of Christmas, and once again, our friend who was in The Thing, the musical, will be popping on to discuss his role in Terrifier 4 in Space. Can't wait to get into this in detail. It's going to be another fantastic fictional review on the Outcast created Terrifier 4 in Space. This time we can hear you bleed. So that's going to be fun. We'll be doing that this side of Christmas. Fab stuff. So Stupenzo, start thinking of songs. Okay. So I think that's all the stuff I've got coming up. Let me just pop that. Let me just pop this up. I just want to give these guys a visual plug. Incidentally, Adele, who I'm interviewing the event that I went to of hers on Saturday was invite only, and she started doing a Transvanious sort of live music stream in lockdown in October, and it became, as a result of that, it became an annual event, which is now a physical event that you can attend. And she gets all her buddies that are DJs to perform. She's one of the most interesting people that I've met on this scene, and I have to tell you, an absolutely wonderful human being. And I met her husband as well on Saturday, and he was really lovely too. And it was the nicest crowd of any club I've ever been to, and I think, you know, that's a reflection on the kind of people that she attracts around her. So they say you can judge a person by the richness of their friends, so she must be a millionaire. There you go. All right. Yeah, guys, you want to plug anything real quick? Northern Stupenzo, what you got?
Yeah,
just released my Venom review, and I've got the Penguin review tomorrow at 7:00 for the latest episode. It's still going strong, that show. I'll be on Open Bar on Thursday at 9 with the drinker for his Halloween.
Yeah, you're back on Open Bar. That's great.
Hey, nice, mate.
Yeah.
And Friday I'll be joined by Inside Man and Fandad and Critical to discuss Halloween with the League of the Retro Spider Menace Bastards at 7:00. So yeah, it should be a fun little weekend.
Good stuff. Well, if my panelists do want to hang around in the green room afterwards, I'll have a quick chat with you about recent events, shall we say. But just remains for me to thank everyone for coming in to watching. We had a pretty big crowd earlier on, but I think once we go past midnight, people have to get to bed. But yeah, great to have got you guys on. It's a shame that Blue Collar is missing, but he is presumed alive, which is good. So I'm going to be back streaming on. I'm doing a stream on Thursday. I'm doing a late Halloween stream. It's going to be about half midnight UK time. It's not particularly planned. I'm just going to talk about some of my favorite horror films. Anyone is welcome. I'll just chuck out the link on the day. Any other YouTubers, if you want to pop on and talk horror films with me, but I'm not scripting it too much. So I'm probably going to focus on kind of early John Carpenter and stuff like that. So I'm streaming. Halloween is the next stream. Should be a laugh. Yeah, Critic Al, if you want to pop on, you'd be welcome. Darth Plato, you want to pop on, let me know. Anyone in the chat, random people that I don't know, if you want to pop in for a bit. We're that kind of channel. We take risks here because we're the Outcast Creative. I mean, just listen to the song.
Misfits and dreamers getting innovative. It's film, TV, and theater in the mix. Industry interviews where ideas get their fix. He's creative, we're creative. How about you? Share your passion, join the crew. with Lance and the Outcast crew.